Good morning, everyone. My name is Precious, and once again, it's a joy to be here today, hosting CRISA Africa's first youth empowerment webinar. Today's session is themed the personal leadership and self-advancement. And with us today, we have our distinguished speaker, Mrs. Atinuke Babatunde. Thank you very much once again for being here today.
Thank you.
I'd like to express an apology on behalf of our first speaker, Destiny Ogedengbe, who was supposed to speak earlier. An emergency came up and it would not be available today. However, it's still a delight to have Madam Babatunde here with us, because I'm pretty sure that we're going to learn a lot of things from her about personal branding and positioning ourselves in this new fast changing, work environment. Just before I proceed, I'd like to give a brief introduction about CRISA Africa for many of us that may not know what CRISA Africa is about. CRISA Africa is a non-governmental organization based in Lagos, Nigeria. Our vision is for us to have a society where the creative and ingenious minds of Africa are nurtured, inspired, and provided for, with ample opportunities, platforms, and resources to realize their goals and unleash their potentials. Our mission at CRISA is then to cultivate a generation of self-reliant leaders, technocrats, and entrepreneurs who embody a positive mindset and possess the necessary resources to drive sustainable change. Our values at CRISA include integrity, transparency, inclusivity, diversity, accountability, impact, sustainability, resilience, excellence, and innovation. Next slide, please. At CRISA, we focus on 4 major anchor programs. These programs include education, housing, enterprise development, and healthcare. The Youth Empowerment webinar centers around our educational program. It then begs the question, why Youth Empowerment webinar? The Youth Empowerment webinar helps to bridge the opportunity gap where young people lack access to education, mentorship, and resources for career and business success. It equips the youth with the skills and confidence to drive social and economic transformation. It also provides stability and growth to ensure that young people can focus on education and career advancement. What is your role in this movement as participants? Our role in this movement is to take action, learn, connect, and grow with CRISA Africa. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Madam Atinuke Babatunde, who is an expert in personal branding. She's a legal practitioner, a career coach, and a youth mentor. Please go back to the slide before now. Madam Atinuke holds an MSc and an MBA. She's a doctoral research candidate at Edinburgh Business School, with over 20 years of experience in branding, marketing, and strategy. She founded Brand Fusion and Marketing Solutions, supporting SMEs and women-led businesses. Recognized among the 50 leading ladies in corporate Nigeria, she actively mentors through the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs and other platforms. She's a respected business consultant and speaker. Madam Atinuke has been featured in prominent Nigerian publications, including The Punch, This Day, and Vanguard. That's a wealth of experience we are going to learn from pretty soon. I'm really enthusiastic about this session, Madam, and we're very, very honored to have you on here.
Thank you for having me. I'm also excited to be here this morning. A quick correction: expert is legal practitioner. I'm not. I think maybe because I'm coming before Dayo. I think this was maybe he's going to be his slides. Legal practitioner. I'm not a lawyer. Before
Apologize for that.
our legal colleagues come after us, I'm also not really a career coach, but I help small businesses with their branding and marketing, and I help young people position themselves as personal brands. So I'm going to be sharing my slides now. Please allow me share my screen. Okay. Share. Can you guys see? Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Once again, good morning, everyone. I want to see interactions. I want energy. The way I'm sharing now, I can't see the participants, but I'm sure there's a way to go about it. I'm not very used to all this technology thing, but let's see. Launch. Okay. I think it's working now where I can. Can you still see? Can you still see my sharing, or has it ended? Can you still see my slides?
I can't see your slides anymore.
Anymore. Okay, just hold on. We will get this right very soon. Aha. So
Yes, I can see
we
it
can
now.
see it now. Okay. I'm trying to do a slideshow. All right, cool, great stuff. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about how to build a strong personal brand. I'm sure this is not the first time anybody here has heard of personal branding. It's become so popular. Everybody talks about personal branding. Everybody talks about how you can be a personal brand. There are almost 1,001 personal brand coaches online, but most times people don't really understand how far your personal brand can take you and how powerful having a personal brand can work for your advantage. Now, the reason why I like this program, and I must say a very, very, very big well done to you guys for organizing this program. A lot of people don't understand that when you catch young people, when you catch them in their 20s, early 30s, even before their 20s, it goes a long way. I always tell people that if I knew what I knew in my 40s, in my 20s, I'll be so far, nobody will even see my back. So those of you here, you have the advantage. And I always tell people, again, it's not easy organizing programs. I've organized a lot of programs. And so to come together, decide to say we're going to do this webinar, even if it's one person that shows up, even if it's 10 people that show up, you never know the impact you're making in the life of someone. So I've started my personal branding talk because some of you are here, and what is holding you back from showing up as a personal brand might be that you're afraid to take that step, afraid to position yourself, afraid to come out and say, oh, I'm a personal brand, and then you're wondering, will people listen to me? But for every time you take a step, I never knew Crystal Africa till they contacted me, but now they're my radar. They took a step. Now I know Precious. Now I know Uluwashemi. Even before I met him, if I see his name somewhere, I will remember. So I'm just telling you that don't be afraid of taking that step. It doesn't matter whether people show up or people don't show up. It doesn't matter whether you feel that nobody's seeing. Trust me, people are seeing and you're making an impact. So let's dive straight into it. What we're going to learn today is, meanwhile, Precious, tell me, when am I supposed to end? Because I can talk and talk and talk. I have calculated 25 minutes, but now that I know there's nobody, so what time? This is 10:25. When should I end?
I think we can target 40 minutes so that we can have questions and answers
That's fine.
afterwards.
So, 40, we can target it till 11. That's about 25 minutes. Right.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So we're going to learn what is personal branding. We're going to learn why it's important. We're going to set up your foundation, tell you the basic things that you need, and then the heart of it. and then how to build your confidence, and then how to network for impact. These are the pillars that you need for personal branding. Precious introduced me a bit, but the reason why I always show these slides when I talk about personal branding is because people think that there's a time to start. Some people will say, oh, I'm too young. Some people will say, no, I'm too old. I always tell people that you're never too young, you're never too old to start a personal brand. And it's part of the myth that surrounds personal branding. Now, when people read my bio, it looks like this lady has achieved so much. But I dare to say that most of the things that I achieved here started in my 40s when I became deliberate with building my personal brand. It wasn't something that, so some people will say, oh, I'm already in my 40s, or I'm in my 30s, or I'm too young. You're never too young, and you're never too old. I went back to do my MBA when I was over 40. I already had an MSc, but I wanted an MBA. So it was, you know how they say when you get to 40, there's this midlife crisis for some people, or whatever you call it. There's this desire to do more. So my desire to do more was what led me to go and start an MBA. I started my doctorate in my mid-40s. I did my transition to telecoms. I was in telecom. My transition to entertainment business, the TV space, was in my 40s. So when you decide to say, I want to build a personal brand, you can start from anywhere. What matters is that you're now consistent. I started Brand Fusion in my 40s as well. And when I decided to start Brand Fusion, everything I'm going to tell you now is what I did to start Brand Fusion, because I wanted to build a personal brand around branding and marketing and helping SMEs. And that was what I did with Brand Fusion, using these steps that we're going to talk about in this personal branding journey. So just look at everything you see here. She's a Wimby's fellow, she's a live member, she's a mentor, Lagos Business Schools. All these things started after I started building a personal brand. Because when you now build this personal brand, people begin to see you and recognize you as the expert in that area, in whatever it is you choose. Whether in your career, even if you're at work, you need a personal brand, because that's why in the career you see some people progressing, you see some people getting promotions, you see some people being called to take part in projects, not necessarily because they're so great in terms of skills, but because they've been able to set themselves apart in terms of their personal brand. The question now is, what is personal branding? What is personal branding? Like I said, there are many people talking about personal branding. There are people say, oh, personal brand is this, you do that, you do this. What is personal branding? There are different definitions of personal branding, but I think the one I really like, really like is this one. If you go to Wikipedia, this is the definition you get. And it says, personal branding is the conscious and intentional efforts. Now, I've highlighted certain words so that you see them. They're not highlighted because I like the color. They are not highlighted because they look good. They are highlighted because those words mean something. It says it's a conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception. So the first thing I want us to know, the first thing I want us to take out of this talk today is it's conscious and intentional. You don't build a personal brand by chance. You don't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm now a personal brand. No, it's something you do consciously and intentionally, because you tell yourself that, look, I want to achieve something. And what is that thing you want to achieve? Is on the next line. You want to create and influence public perception. You want people to see you and to position you as something in your industry, in your office, in your family, in whatever it is. But the ultimate aim is so that you elevate your credibility and differentiate yourself from your competitors. Because we all have competitors. It's not a bad thing in terms of, oh, I'm competing with this person. No, it's just how life is, because there are many people that are like you in the workplace. There are many people doing jobs that are maybe similar to yours, and even if it's not similar, they're in the workplace just like you. In business, there are many people running their businesses, maybe similar businesses like yours. So the ecosystem already creates a competitive environment, whether you like it or not. Now, what your personal brand does for you is it elevates your credibility and differentiates you from the competition. And the sole purpose of personal branding is to ultimately advance your career, increase your circle of influence, and have a larger impact. Now, whether you're in the business, in a career, personal branding advances it. Whether you're in business, it increases your circle of influence and it helps you have a larger impact. I'm sure everyone here, the reason why you're not lying down on your bed doing something else, even if you're watching this webinar on your bed, you could have been watching a YouTube channel or something. There's a reason why you're deliberately taking part in this program. Is because you want to probably increase your circle of influence, you want to make greater impacts, you want to advance your career, whatever it is. This is what personal branding does for you. Now, why is personal branding important?
Excuse me, Mrs. Babatunde.
Yeah?
It seems your slides are not moving.
They're moving on my side. Or can
So you're not sharing the slide presentation. You know you have to expand the slides, right?
is expanded?
So yeah, you need to share the other window.
Okay, you know what? Can somebody share it from your side?
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. Let me stop sharing. So can somebody share it from your side? Once you start sharing, just let me know. Well, I should see it when you start sharing. But can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, cool. Right. Okay. So can you move exactly? So is everyone seeing the slides now?
Yes.
Right. So
I can see.
please go to the next slide. All right, next, I've talked about this slide. I was just introducing myself here, but next slide, please. Aha, so this is where I was talking about. So nobody saw this slide. Did you guys see it?
No, we didn't.
Okay. All right, so let me just take a quick minute to recap. I was explaining that what personal branding is about, why I highlighted some of the words in this slide. And like I said, I didn't highlight those words because the colors are pretty. No, I highlighted them because I wanted us to take out certain words about the things that make your personal brand. The first one is it's conscious and an intentional effort. So it's not, it didn't happen by chance. So you didn't just wake up and say, oh, I'm now a personal brand. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to do something consciously and intentionally. But the reason why you're doing it consciously and intentionally is because you want to create and influence public perception. So you want to create that public perception in such a way that you position yourself as an authority in your office, in your industry, in your space, in your business, in whatever it is you're doing. And why do you want to position yourself as an authority? It's simply because you want to elevate your credibility. You want to differentiate yourself from competitors. You want to advance your career. You want to increase your circle of influence, or you want to have a larger impact. That is the sole purpose of personal branding. Personal branding is not that you have to come and talk about your personal life And that's one thing I always hear people say when you say, oh, you know, you need to build a personal brand. I say, oh, I'm a private person, no, I'm an introvert, I'm really shy. I don't want to talk about my personal life. That is not what personal branding is. If in the journey of building your personal brand, the kind of audience you want to talk to requires that you share your personal brand, your personal life, and you're comfortable with doing that, then there's nothing wrong with it. Take, for instance, you're a lifestyle brand. Maybe you're a mother or you're a young person that you want to encourage other young people to do a certain thing. And that thing requires you showing a bit of your own personal life. There's nothing wrong with that because that's where you want to build your personal brand. But it's not that, like me now, I'm a married woman with children, that because I'm doing personal branding, I have to come and talk about my children, I have to come and talk about my husband. That's not what personal branding is. Because personal branding, remember, is you're trying to influence public perception so that they see you as an authority in an industry. So I'm talking about branding, I'm talking about marketing. The reason why the team approached me was because they saw something. They saw that this woman talks about a particular topic or an area, because that is how I've positioned my personal brand. Please go to the next slide. In the next slide, we're going to look at why is important. Next slide, please. Why is important to have a personal brand? Why is personal branding important? There are 4 things that I've put up here. And the 4 things I've put up here are the core reason. I mean, having a personal brand has so many advantages. But one of them is it determines how people relate with you. When you position yourself in a certain way, people relate with you in a certain way. But if you don't have a personal brand, you can be, if you don't deliberately, remember the definition we said it's conscious and intentional effort. So you're conscious about it. If you're not conscious about it, you might be putting off a certain vibe that is giving you a personal brand that you don't want. Because whether you like it or not, when we do something over and over again, people tend to brand us a certain way. And that's why you hear people say, oh, this person is not reliable. This person is this. This person is great at this, because people have seen the person behave in that way for a long time, that they've been positioned that way. But when you're doing it consciously and intentionally, it determines how people relate with you, because you've succeeded in guiding how they see you. The second one is it positions you as the expert in your office, in your industry, whatever it is you're doing, because you're the one always in front to say, this is what this is about. This is how this thing can be done. If you're in the office space, people know you as, oh, he's always early. He's always ready to work in a team. She's always contributing something to the team and all that. It also gives you influence in your industry. I don't know how many of you, have you ever heard, there's some places where if there's going to be a meeting and people gather, you hear them say, oh, we've not seen this person. Can we wait for this person to come? Has it ever happened to anybody? Where in a meeting, sometimes people will say, oh, let's wait for this person to come. The reason sometimes, no, I want to answer because I'm the one talking.
Yes, it has.
You can put in the comment, it has, where people will say, let's wait for this person, because they feel that this person has a perspective that others may not have. This person has been able to position him or herself as something that, or someone that people should listen to. And then it helps you command a premium. When it comes to Naira and Kobo, pounds and dollars, at the end of the day, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for business, whether you're going for a contract, if you have a personal brand, it helps you command the premium. People are ready to pay a little more or even a lot more for you if you have a personal brand than for someone that doesn't have a personal brand. It's a no-brainer. And that's why things like influencer marketing is so powerful. Things like brand ambassadors is so powerful. What are those things? Those things are just capitalizing on personal branding. because you branded yourself so well that people are ready to pay you something because they believe your personal brand is strong enough to influence. That is why in a department or there's a project, people are ready to say, I want this person to work on this project with me because there's something about your personal brand. Next slide, please. The next slide is going to talk about the things you need to remember when you're building a personal brand. I need you to remember certain things. There are 3 things to consider when you're building a personal brand. The first thing is your personal brand is personal. That is why it's called personal branding. It did not say third-party branding. It did not say my friend's branding. It did not say my colleague's branding. It's personal brand. So you're talking about your own personal brand. It is personal to you. So you need to understand yourself to be able to build a personal brand. Now, if this were an exercise, personal branding is a lot. And I had to choose what to say and what to present in this webinar. But there are guides, there are steps to knowing and understanding yourself. If this were a class, for instance, I would send everyone a link to do an assessment, personality assessment, where you understand who you are, because that's where it starts from. You have to understand yourself. Some people try to build a personal brand by copying somebody else or being like somebody else. Or you see somebody and you think, oh, this person is so great, I'm going to be like this person. That is not what personal branding is, because at the end of the day, if you're not your authentic self, you're going to struggle. The second one is you have your own unique value to offer. Every one of us have our own unique value. People will say, oh, there's so many people saying what I want to do, or say, so many people doing what I want to do, so many people like who I want to be. No, you come with your own unique value to offer. There's a unique perspective that you're bringing. Nobody can say it or do it the exact same way that you're doing it. So you must always think about that. And then the third one is it affects your business. Whether you're doing a business, whether you have a career, it affects your business. There was a research that was done where a business was struggling. For the longest time, they had tried strategies, they had brought in consultants, they had done different things. And the business was just not getting the kind of revenue or making the move that they were hoping to get. And so they came together and they said, you know what, we've tried everything, but we've not changed our leader. Our leader has been the leader for the longest time. The board of directors came together and said, maybe we'll try a new CEO. And they did. And guess what? Because this new CEO came in with a different personality, a different personal brand, within months, they saw an increased percentage in their revenue, all the things they had been trying to achieve for the longest time that they couldn't. They did not change strategy. They did not change income, nothing. It was just on the personality. Next slide, please. Now, in order to start your personal branding, please give me the next thing. The next one. In order to position your personal brand, there are things that you need to know. There are things that you need to do. The first thing is you need to specialize. You need to specialize. And what do I mean by this? Think of one thing that you want to be known for. One thing. If you're in the career space, think of one thing that you want to be known for. I want to be known as that person that when a report gets to my table, I will do it without mistake, very meticulous, very accurate. I want to be known for the person that knows how to weave or do crochet. I want to be known for the person that knows how to sell things. And when I say sell things, maybe I sell perfumes. Now, I know this is a youth empowerment program, but even as I speak about career, I'm also talking about how these days it's very easy to start a side business, a side hustle, because we always desire many streams of income. So even if you're a career person, you can start a business, a side business with your personal brand by knowing what it is that you want to do. You have to specialize. You can't be known for too many things, because that's where a lot of young people, a lot of even business people that are not so young, they miss it. We come to your page, you're talking about this today, tomorrow you're talking about that, next tomorrow. We don't know you for anything. The way to build a personal brand is we want to know you for one thing. If I say Tiger Woods, you know him for one thing. If I say Beyonce, you know her for one thing. Now, when you specialize and get very good at that one thing, you can now do other things. But the good thing is, because people know that you've done this one thing very well, it's easy for them to follow you with this other thing. So always start with the one. What is that one thing that I want to be known for? Go down, sit down, do an exercise. Again, if we were a class, there's an exercise we do to help you determine that one thing you want to be known for. And then you focus on it. Next slide, please. The next slide is saying you have to be a leader in that one thing that you want to be known for. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say you have to be a leader, it doesn't mean if there are 10 people in your industry, please, next slide, I mean, it means I have to be number one. No, it just means that that thing you want to be known for, you have to be good at it. You have to be very good at it. You have to learn, you have to develop yourself, you have to do things that will make you an expert, because again, you must always remember the definition of personal branding is about positioning you as an expert in your career, in your office, in your business, in your circle of influence. So you have to be very good at it. So that if you decide to say, this is the one thing that I want to be known for, then you're good at it, so that people don't come and they're wondering, are you sure this person is not confident? We don't think this person knows this thing. So you have to be very good at it. And then the next thing you have to do, next slide please, is you have to be distinct. What differentiates you? What differentiates you? Do you just want to be like every other person? And the differentiation can be something very simple. Can be in the way you talk, the way you show up, the way you're simple, your brand personality. That can be what differentiates you. There's some people, once you see them on Instagram, you know that they're playful, you know that there's going to be fun, there's going to be vibe. That can be your differentiation. It can. When I started as a branding and marketing consultant, I said what was going to differentiate me was I was going to make branding and marketing as simple as possible. I wasn't going to use all those big jargon words and all that. And that's what differentiates me. A lot of my clients say the reason why they work with me is that I break it down and I make it as simple as possible. So what is that thing that differentiates you? Next slide, please. Remember, we're building a personal brand. So I need you to start thinking, even as we're here, just begin to think about all these steps one by one. Okay, this is the definition of a personal brand. This is intentional and is conscious. So I have to be intentional and conscious. The next thing is I have to think of one thing that I want to be known for. Okay, I've thought about it or I'm thinking about it. The next thing is I have to be a leader in that thing. Okay, how can I improve myself? What are the resources I need? The next thing is I have to differentiate myself somehow. What is that one thing I can do to differentiate myself? And then the next thing I want to talk about are what I call the 3 B's of personal branding. Please, next slide. They're the 3 B's. You have to be these 3 B's, or else it will not work. The first one is you have to be visible. All this, I'm shy. I don't want people to see me. I don't want to show up. What will people say? Oh, no, you have to be visible. Because that's the only way you can build a personal brand. If we don't know you, we don't buy from you. If we don't know you, we don't do anything with you. If we don't know you, we don't recognize you. If we don't know you, you don't position yourself as an expert. You have to be visible. People must see you. There's a coach I follow online. She's an American coach, and she's always saying, you're too broke not to be visible. You're too broke not to be visible. That, I mean, what I really was saying is she always explains that no matter how rich you are, she doesn't care. If you can't afford what you want 3-4 times over, then you're broke. If you can't help people, then you're broke. If you can't, a lot of times we're not visible because we're thinking of ourselves. We're too selfish. That's what I tell my clients. You're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking of the impact you can make by being visible. You're not thinking of the lives you can touch by being visible. You're not thinking of the businesses, somebody's needs that you can make, whether you're selling something, whether you're offering something in the office. You're not thinking about it. You're just thinking about yourself and your lack of confidence, and you refuse to be visible because you're just afraid. But you see, there's no reason to be afraid, and we'll talk about it later. So you, number one, you have to be visible. The second one is you have to be focused. Stop jumping around. You come online today, they say this one is the one that is working, you follow it. Tomorrow they say this one is the one that is working, you follow it. No, you don't get to build a personal brand that way, because people need to know you for something, and until you're focused on that one thing, they don't know you for that thing. And of course, you have to be consistent. I must see you consistently showing up in a certain way for me to know that you are this expert that you're positioning yourself as. Next slide, please. Steps in building your confidence. Next slide. To build a personal brand, I already mentioned it. Some people will say, oh, I'm shy. I don't want to come on. I don't want to do this. The reason a lot of people don't show up is because of confidence. They lack confidence. That's the truth. A lot of procrastination, a lot of I don't want to show up, a lot of I don't want to be visible is because people lack confidence. You don't think you're good enough. You don't think people will listen. You don't think people will show up. And so you hide under the guise of, I'm shy. I can't, I don't want people to see me. Oh, I'm an introvert. No, it's because you lack confidence. But you can build your confidence. And these are the ways that I have used to build my confidence. My clients have used to build their confidence, and it works. Sometimes we don't know how good we are. I had a client that was into financial services, brilliant lady. And for the longest time, we were struggling to, she was like, I don't want to build this personal brand. I've started it, but I don't want to. And so when she came to me, we sat down and we decided to say, you know what is the challenge? She had an Instagram page, she had abandoned it. And then when we looked at the page, I was like, what is really the challenge? She said, she just feels that she's shy. This social media thing is not for her. You will post, nobody will like. You will post, one person, only one person will like. And I said, you know what? It's your ego that is talking. I hope you know that even though people are not liking, they are seeing. Most of the people that have bought from me, paid for my services, a lot of them don't follow me. They don't follow me. They don't like my posts. They just search. I had the clients that wanted me to do a rebranding for her business, and I asked how she found me. She said she just searched the keywords branding, and then names came up, and then she went through and saw me and chose me. So you have to know your worth. So when she said it, I said, you know what? Let's sit down and do an exercise. And she said, I don't want to be struggling with all these small girls and boys on Instagram. I'm too old for that. I said, Auntie, it's not true. It's your confidence that is working. So I said, go and do a list of everything you've ever done. I have a BSc, I have this, I did certification in this, I know how to bake, I know how to write. People say I'm good at this. Just write everything and let's look at it. When she did, we went through. This lady is fellow, an icon fellow. She has helped businesses transform their business. She has done small one-on-one coaching. She has helped her sister do something. All those things you do, they are part of it. So know your worth and let people know. It builds your confidence. So as you're here, there are many things you're good at. I need you to sit down and write those things you're good at. Think about those things you're good at, because those are the things that will help build your confidence. Next slide, please. You need to know your worth. You need to know what you bring to the table. Give me the next slide, please. The second thing is, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is the worst thing that can happen? You see, this question is so liberating. The reason why it's so liberating is because a lot of times we are afraid of what doesn't exist. For the longest time, I had the clients that could not do Instagram Live. Why? Because she felt she had people will laugh at her. And I was like, okay, if people laugh at you, after they finish laughing, what next? What's the worst that will happen? And she was just looking at me. I said, no, tell me now. Remember, you're on the other side doing the Instagram Live. So even if people are laughing at you, you don't know. Even if they are senseless enough to put it on the comment, so what? Because the moment you come out of that Instagram Live, it doesn't show those things. But what has happened? You've created something that you can leave on your page that somebody else that needs that thing that you're providing will come and see and probably help the person and then convert the person. So once you ask yourself what's the worst thing that can happen, a lot of times your fears go away. I always tell myself, because by the time I ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? And then I look for a solution to counter that worst thing that can happen, then it becomes easier. The next slides, please. The next thing, when you ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? I also need you to tell yourself, you change it or you love it. What do I mean by this? When we refuse to accept the things we cannot change and refuse to change the things we can, we create problems for ourselves. So let me give an example. I had a client that the reason why she didn't want to do Instagram Live was because she said she has a big forehead, that her forehead is too protruding. And I'm like, are you even being serious now? For that kind of situation, you cannot change it. Do you want to go and do a surgery to cut your forehead? You can't. So you have to learn to love it. You have to tell yourself that, look, I'm good at this thing. This is who I am. If it's something you can change, then change it. I had another client that didn't know how to dress. She had the personal brand, but she just didn't know how to dress. What did we do? We got someone that was a stylist to help her learn how to dress in order to attract the kinds of customers that she was looking for, because she was a high profile, high network individual. And so she needed to look the part. And so she was able to change it. So in order to boost your confidence, some of the things making us lose confidence are the things about us. Now, if it's something you can change, please change it. If you don't have knowledge in it, get help. If you don't know how to do it, get help. But if it's something that you cannot change, that is a part of you, then you have to learn how to love it. Next slide, please. The next one thing I want you to ask yourself is, when you make a mistake, or to tell yourself, when you make a mistake, you are still awesome. Life doesn't end because you made a mistake. Correct yourself. In the workplace, you made a mistake. You sent an email you shouldn't send, or you made a grammatical error. It doesn't matter. You're still awesome. You're trying to sell something and then you made a mistake in the product. You're still awesome. You sent out the wrong delivery. You're still awesome. Always remember that you're not your mistake. The mistake is an event. It is not you. It's not what defines you. So when you make a mistake, you're still awesome. Give me the next slide, please. The next slide, please. I'm about to wrap up. Next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide. The next slide is, I also need you to pause and remember, it's not always about you. It's not always about you. People have their own problems. They are thinking of their own problems. You are giving yourself too much credit. You are thinking you are all that. You're not really all that, like that, in terms of, you think people will just leave their own problems and be focused on you. Is you that? No. And that's what's keeping a lot of people from building this personal brand. Hey, people will laugh at me. People will look at me. People will say this. The people don't even care. They don't even know that you're struggling with those feelings, because even they are trying to find their own way. So the sooner you let yourself know that it's not always about you, it will help you also bring out yourself more and do more of the things that you want to do. Next slide, please. Next slide. Remember, everything we're saying is about building a personal brand. Now, building a personal brand is a lot, but with these foundations I've given you, if you begin to sit down and actually put pen to paper and take it one step at a time, with the first thing of remembering what personal branding is, remembering the definition. Why am I doing this thing? What is it? It's a conscious and intentional effort. And then you go through the steps you're building. The last thing we're going to talk about before I end, I'm trying to keep to that 11 o'clock, and I think I'm doing well with time. I may probably exceed with just 2 minutes, is you network to build your brand. Next slide. Networking is important. Even being on this webinar is a network. Is a network, because I'm seeing people's names. I'm seeing people come in and go out. I'm remembering the names. If I see the name again, I will remember. On some platforms, they allow you to introduce yourself in the comment section. So you're networking. The art of networking is to connect. When you go for events, and it doesn't have to be anything serious. Something as simple as, today is very hot, dude. What do you think about this weather? It's networking. For the longest time, I used to be that person that if I go to an event, I will sit down in one corner with my phone. I went for an event, to probably paid for the event. I will sit down on my phone. And at the end of the event, I'll carry my phone and go. Or if I go with somebody I know, I will stick to the person till the end of the event. No, you need to go out. The other day I was at the event, and one of my colleagues that was at that event was, Atinuke, you know how to network so well. And in my mind, I was like, how? And I told her, I said, look, I learned it. I had to tell myself. The thing, give me the next slide. The thing with networking is people are looking to start a conversation. People might not know how. The same way you are waiting for someone to talk to you is the same way somebody is waiting for somebody to talk to them. So why don't you be the conversation starter? Oh, I like your hair. Oh, this fabric is nice. Where did you get it? Oh, those are conversation starters. Real, authentic compliments is a conversation starter. I've met people in net events that have become business clients because I took the time to say, oh, my name is this, I do this, what do you do? Oh, you do this, fine, please, I'm even looking for this service, I'm looking for somebody. And then I've been given awards because I met somebody at an event, and then we got talking, and the person saw the great work I was doing. I would say, that's wonderful. We are organizing an award for achievers and this thing. Please, your work is amazing. Send us your email, your website, and let's see. And then they went through, and I was given an award. If I had kept quiet in that event, nothing would have happened. So exchange, ask for details. A simple hello, how are you? I met you at this event. It was nice meeting you. That's it. Next slide, please. So just ask for a contact. Don't spam the person. Don't begin to chase the person all over the place and all that. And then last but not the least, a personal brand is not built in a day. You don't start and get tired. People will say, oh, I started this personal branding thing. It's not working. I've tried and tried and tried. And I ask, how long have you been doing this thing? Yeah, I started last week. I've just been showing up. But throughout that week, nobody even likes my this thing. Nobody even, no. It takes practice. It takes patience. And it takes persistence. You have to, the 3 P's, I call them the 3 P's of personal branding. You have to practice. You have to be patient and you have to persist, because over time, people get to know you as this. And then the next slide. Give me the next slide, please. Next slide. The next slide, this slide is just an admonition to say, show up and do the work. Show up and do the work. And this is where we will end. I have the last slide. If you show this last slide, it's not this one. I was just going to use it, the very last slide. I just put it there as a placeholder in case somebody asks a question, then I can use that slide to talk through. Yes, this slide. So you don't have to, you can go back to the previous slide. This one is just a talking point to show people that this thing that I'm saying, I did it. It's not something. I was a career person, earning my salary, working in telecoms, moving from level to level, getting my promotions, getting my bonuses. And then I decided to build a personal brand. So that last slide is my journey. For anybody that wants to know, ask a question, I can talk you through. It's what I did using these things I've talked about, and you too can do the same. Thank you very much. I think this is where I'm right on time, 11:03. Perfect. Please take it back to the slide with the contacts, because some people might want to reach. I've had situations where people say, well, how can we reach you? How can we get to you? Just take it to the previous slide that has my contact. All right. Thank you very much. Over to you for questions.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Babatunde. This was very engaging. I mean, I learned so much personally. Personal branding is the conscious and intentional effort. It's a conscious and intentional effort. I mean, so many people don't understand, the meaning of intentionality behind building something, because there'll be so many challenges, so many stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
But the
so many doubts, so many fears.
Fears, doubts, but it's that intentionality that keeps you going. And by the time you start, seeing the results, you'll be amazed as how far you've come in this journey. Thank you so much for this session. So we'll be taking questions now. If anybody has questions, you can can signify by raising your hands or putting them in the chat box. Mrs. Babatunde will be happy to answer. There is a raised hands, Remo Emmanuel. If you'd like to unmute yourself. Remo Emmanuel.
He can't hear or he can't unmute.
If you can drop a message in the chat box so we know what's going on.
They can also drop their messages. If you have because I can read messages.
Do you hear me?
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, thank you so much for the program. And I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the facilitator of tonight. I really love the program so much. And my question is, we are in different places, countries here, there, and sometimes learning, it has different different styles or different strategies. So there are other people who are good on online programs, maybe online learning like this. Then others, they normally prefer like direct lectures where they can maybe meet with the facilitator direct. So I don't know, is it, if there's any possibility of organizing such a program like maybe one place, then people come all from different countries and converge in one place and also meet, because he talks about networking, and networking sometimes need people to come together, and at times need people to meet, and also, you know, people share knowledge together here.
So Reno, what country are you calling from? Because what country are you from?
So I don't know, as a managers or as a
Network is the network is going on. Krista, Precious, is your question. When are you organizing live events so that we can call? But I would like to know what country he's calling from.
Yes, me too, to be honest. Reno, our focus is on African youth. So thank you very much for your question in the first place. Our focus is on African youth for now. In Africa, Nigeria as a primary focus. So, I mean, in the nearest future, the reason why we opted for a digital webinar is because we feel like a lot of people will be able to join, irrespective of where they are based, irrespective of geographical, spreading, and they'll be able to get, what we want them to get from the webinar in terms of learning. That's why we opted for the digital platform. But it's something that we really hope to do. However, we have other programs that people have to attend physically. I mean, we've done our work exposure open day where we had African youths interested in IT and oil and gas industry in Nigeria attend a renowned oil and gas firm in Lagos over 2 days to learn about their work, learn about their expertise, learn on how to leverage relationships in the industry to become what they want to become. So we often have other events that that thrives on physical attendance. But for now, the youth empowerment webinar would sit on the digital space because we want people to be able to access it from wherever they want to attend. So if you want, you can follow us on our social media handles, the Krista Africa on Instagram. You can subscribe to our newsletters. You see the link on our Instagram page so that you can keep, abreast of every other program that we have, and you can join us as we go forward.
Okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. I've not introduced myself. I'm called Remo Emmanuel. I work for Youth for Peace Initiative. It's an initiative in a refugee settlement in Uganda, in Rhino Camp. So I'm the director leading the initiative. Actually, we are working with the young people in Rhino Camp. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Emmanuel.
Okay, okay.
Any other question? I mean, this session was quite impactful. We should have questions.
Or
It's not
sometimes what I notice is sometimes people take time to digest it because they're already implementing and thinking in their heads, okay, what can I
yes,
do? What can I so happen?
yes. I do have a question.
Okay.
I think I'll go first then. I mean, in this age, we have a lot of young people who often tag themselves as serial entrepreneurs because they are involved in a lot of things. I mean, I'm also guilty of that
Yes.
because I practice law and I
Mm-hmm.
also champion the cause at CRISA
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
So, you said in being able to build a personal brand, we have to specialize. We have to
Yeah.
think of one thing that we want
Yeah.
to be known for. But
Yes.
me personally, I can't think of one particular. If you ask me what I want to be known for, I have three things on the top of my list. I can't pick.
Okay.
Maybe it's a function of where I am now as a result of my age. Maybe when I grow older, when I get into my 40s, I'll be able to, my learning curve will help me with
Yeah.
that. But I know I want to be known for impact across everything that I
Okay.
am involved in and excellence across everything I'm involved in. So it
Okay.
goes back now. How do youths, African youths especially, how
Mm.
do we identify that one thing that we want to be known for, especially when we are involved in a lot of things that
Anything.
to enhance social impact and to
Mm.
live ourselves economically?
Okay. So this question you asked is the one question I get asked a lot all the time. And the reason why I like the question is because it's true. Like you said, a lot of people are what is called these days. These days everything has a word. So I think they are called multi-potentialites, meaning they have multiple potentials. Now, the reason why I said when you're building a personal brand, and I mean it's up for argument. The debate is still out because there are some people that will say, "Oh, I don't agree." It's okay. But research has shown over and over and over again that when people focus on a particular area, they make more impact than when they're doing many things. Now, it doesn't mean, like I said during the presentation, that you can't do something else, but people need to know you and trust you for something. You said something now that you want to be known for social impact across everything that you do. That's one focus. That's actually a focus area. So it means that anything you're doing, it has to come from the lens of social impact. Meaning, if there is no social impact around this thing, whether I'm doing offering legal services or I'm empowering the young people, if there's no social impact around it, I don't want to do it. So you're not actually doing many things. You're doing one big picture in different expressions. I had a client that does no, I still have her. She does healthy juices, and then she does food sustainability and all that. And she was telling me, oh, how do I show up on LinkedIn and on Instagram? Because Instagram is my juice business, but on LinkedIn, I want to be seen more as sustainable, food waste management and all. And I said, at the end of the day, healthy eating and all. You're talking about healthy juices on Instagram. At the core of it is still the same, because even the juices, you need to make sure that you're not wasting food, because you use food to manufacture the juices. So it's a way of building those things together. Now, if you want to do something totally different and you want to build a personal brand around those things, that's where the challenge is. And that's where a lot of people struggle. And I always tell them that you will burn out, except you have the resources. Posting on social media or digital is hard as it is. Building even one brand is hard enough. Then you now want to do three different things at the same time. No, you burn out. And if you notice the trends, especially on social media now, you notice that somebody is known for a particular thing, and then suddenly the person comes and says, hello guys, I want to know you. I'm introducing my clothing line. I'm introducing my perfume line. I'm doing scented candles. what the person did was the person built a personal brand on a particular thing. And so they've grown their popularity. People have known them. So it's easy to now introduce something. Almost every actor or actress has another brand. They're either selling makeup, they are doing cream, because they've used their personal brands to now build something else. So that thing of focusing, social impact, if you have different expressions, is still one big picture. But to try and build too many distinct things at the same time is going to be a challenge.
Okay, thank you so much. That was very, that was very liberating to hear.
There's
Because
nothing
I
wrong
was
with it.
thinking, does it mean I'm doing something wrong
No,
somewhere?
no, no, you're not. You're not. Because what people don't know sometimes, and I try to distill with clients when they come to me, what is the fundamental underlying thing that runs across all those different things? That's the big picture we should project. And that will be where you build your personal brand, so that you're in everything that you're doing, that big picture is showing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Any other questions before we round off?
Yes, it's almost 12:30.
Almost half 12. Yes. Please feel free to ask your questions. Mrs. Babatunde is a highly paid
Yes,
expert
so
in this
I'm
field.
just doing this one for social impact, like you
Yes,
said.
so she did it for social impact, and we are immensely grateful. We won't have any opportunity to ask her a question directly without bringing some cash.
For
So
cash.
please, please use this opportunity if you have questions, and she would answer them. More questions? Let me go on the chat box. Feel free, don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Ask your questions, because if you come to my DM or come to me on this contact, you will now have to pay for me to answer this. So you better
So
ask.
use the opportunities.
Okay. I guess there are no more questions. Oh,
Okay, Sammy Joe. Sammy Joe, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself. I've requested. Okay. Sammy Joe, you've been unmuted.
All right, good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for the session. It's been very impactful and insightful. So,
You see
very
that's
quick,
the thing. Sorry, you say impactful. You people, no, nothing on the group chat. You're not even encouraging the organizers. Now, when you're
honestly,
after it's been very impactful, put it in the group chat so that the organizers will see that, oh, we've done a good work. Oh, and we encourage you.
yeah,
You can go
thank
ahead.
you. All right, so my question is for someone like me. I am, like she said, like Miss Precious said, I'm into so many things that I'm yet to focus. I'm finding it difficult to focus and be consistent with one.
Okay.
And when I look at all of them, it's almost like all of them are the best thing to do. And you still can't figure out which one you should pick. Should I dump the rest or should I focus my energy on one? I'm currently a fellow with Teach for Nigeria.
Okay.
And yeah, I teach in primary schools for the fellowship. I'm also into graphic design.
Okay.
I'm into Amazon, KDP, and other things. So it's kind of difficult for you to feel, okay, should I focus my energy on the educational aspects that I'm doing, or should I focus my energy on the tech? How do you build a brand around such a thing?
All right. You know what? Let me explain how. Like I said, if it was a class, that we have different processes, but because we don't have that time, I'm going to take you through a short process that we use to refine and help clients. I usually use it to help my clients to decide on what to start with. What I would say is this: you get a sheet of paper. You get a sheet of paper, and then you draw a line, and then you draw different boxes. and then you list all the, so this is a sheet of paper, you do it this way, and then you jot down. You put all your interests. So the first interest is you teach, right? The second one is tech. The third one is maybe coaching. You list everything. You go to the next box and then you ask yourself these 4 questions: competition, passion, ability to make money, ability to get customers. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to give a score to each of those 4 questions for each of those your interests. So let me explain. The first interest is teaching, right? You will ask yourself, this teaching, in terms of competitive landscape, in terms of the number of people teaching this thing I want to teach, how competitive is it? Are there many people? If there are many people, that means you might need to do more work to be able to break into the industry. So you score each of them between 1 and 10. Now, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. So if, for instance, there are a lot of people teaching, meaning you have to do more, it means that it doesn't have a very high mark. You score it maybe like a 4. You go to, in terms of passion, out of all these things I've listed, which one am I very passionate about? And let's say you say, okay, you're still looking at the teaching aspect. You say, out of all those different things I want to do, teaching in terms of passion, between 1 and 10, how will I score it? Maybe you're very passionate about teaching, so you score it an 8, right? Then you go to, in terms of ability to charge for that thing, to get money, to make an income. For this teaching job, how easily can I charge and make money? Between 1 and 10 again, maybe, okay, teaching, a lot of people are teaching, there's YouTube, so maybe I won't be able to charge so much. You score it a 3. And then the last one is, in terms of, it's one thing to be able to charge. The other thing is, how easily can I get customers? You can get customers that are not ready to pay, people that are interested and all that. Can I make an income from it? No. But are people interested? Yes. So if you score that one, maybe a 2, you put it. You do the same for all of them. At the end of the day, you will get scores over 40. The one that has the highest score over that 40 will be the most likely one that you should start with. However, not necessarily that you must go with that one, because if, for instance, teaching, the ability to make money from teaching is not so high, and so you scored it a 3, but in terms of passion is 8, and you're more concerned or you're more interested in your passion than the income, then you might go with that one, the one that has the highest thing that you're interested in. But this already gives you a guideline and an outline of which one to settle with and which one to begin to consider the more, because you have it clearly written out and you see the one that is number 1, the one that is number 2, because there's no need going into something that does not really have a gain at the end of it. I hope that has helped, Sam.
I hope that's helped you, Sam. Okay, moving forward. There's been a question on the chat box from Remo Emmanuel. He says, how do I brand my humanitarian organization to be known and liked by the local community members?
And this one, Emmanuel, this is very, very simple question. You see, the thing with branding your organization, branding yourself, is at the end of the day, branding is everything you do around your business. So from the tiniest thing as little as the name of your brand, the color of your brand, your brand personality, what you do. Now, because you do a humanitarian organization, it's easy to build brand love because people want to see. People want to feel that humanity around what you're doing. But people cannot see if you don't show. So, and that was why I talked about, if you're building a personal brand, you need to be visible, because if you're not visible, then people don't see the good things you're doing. The local community are not aware of the good things you're doing, and so they're not able to even begin to like or love your brand. So think about, what are the things that would interest this local community that I'm working in? How do I show them that I'm interested in the things that matter to them? Because at the end of the day, your target customers, your target audience, you are a humanitarian organization, but you have an audience. You want to make sure that you're taking care of their needs in terms of you're doing things that will help them connect with you and see you as the person that they should support, the person that they should like. So all those things you're doing, you need to be curating it, you need to be showing it, they need to see it. Because at the end of the day, branding is the experience. How do people experience you? How do they see you? What do you do for them? Yep.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Remy says, how do you create and integrate another brand without harming the existing brand?
How do you create and integrate another brand without harming the existing brand? So there's something called brand extension. Yep. Brand extension is you have a brand, but you want to extend that brand. So maybe you want to do something similar or you want to create something new. There's nothing wrong with creating a different arm of an existing brand. And that is why you have to make sure that the existing brand, you've positioned it in such a way that is so strong, is so known, is so valuable that people know it. And so it becomes easier when you create and integrate another brand because the existing brand, you've already positioned it right. The challenge a lot of business owners have is you've not succeeded in integrating the existing one. You've not established it, you've not positioned it right, and then you want to try and bring in another brand without establishing the one that already exists. Of course it will affect that other one, but if you've done the groundwork of understanding your existing brands, taking time to nurture it, taking time to take care of your audience, positioning it right, by the time you bring in another brand, it won't affect that one. And that's why a lot, in fact, it's happening in so many places now, both big organizations, both SMEs, where you see a brand and tomorrow, I know a coach, online coach that does financing that is now selling scented candles and oils. And the two are thriving because she has established herself as a financial brand. And it's easy to now bring in this other aspect because it's also all part of helping yourself build your finances by having extra avenues of income. So it's not affecting that brand because she's established herself. So Remy, the way to do it is make sure that this existing one, you've done the groundwork, you've done what it is that you need to do to help people see that brand, and then you can now bring in another one without harming it.
Okay. Thank you so much, madam. Any other questions before we call it a day? I know a lot of us want to go and eat some weekend jollof. Any other questions, please? Okay, then we'll call it a day. Thank you so much once again. It's been a pleasure having you on here. For those of us that like to contact Madam Babatunde afterwards, our email is on the screen. If you take a screenshot of this so that you can refer to it later on, info@brandfusions.com. Our Instagram is brandfusions. Do well to follow her and learn much more from her journey going forward. Once again, we'd like to express our gratitude. You know, you've taken the time out and we've learned so much. Thank you so much from everybody at CRISA. We do appreciate. And to our lovely attendees, thank you so much for taking the time out. Please feel free to contact us at CRISA Africa. We have a short slide, just a short slide. If you just spare us 2 minutes of your time. Kende Olushola, our Chief Operations Officer at CRISA Africa, would be taking this. Remo, when there's a youth conference, where shall it be? We'll try our best at CRISA to ensure that everybody can join wherever you know, they are, irrespective of where they are. But I mean, whatever information we have of a youth conference coming up will be shared on our social media handles and through our newsletters. So if you please subscribe to our newsletters, you can go to our website www.crisaafrica.org, subscribe to our newsletters, and you know, we'll keep you informed of any further development. So Kende, you have the floor.
Thank you, Precious. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us, and a special thanks to Madam Atinuke for sharing your story with us, sharing from your wealth of experience, and sharing your journey with us. It's been a truly insightful session. I'm sure if you're not taking anything out of this session, we would always remember that personal branding is personal. It takes conscious and intentional effort to build a personal brand. We would also not forget the 3 B's of building a personal brand. Thank you so much. We are looking forward to further engagement with you.
Thank
We would
you.
also, yeah, thank you so much. We would also like to thank our participants for staying with us and for joining us in this session. If you would like to, you know, keep in touch, just please follow us on all our social media platforms. If you've enjoyed what you've gotten from today's session, I can promise you that there is more from where that came from. So just stay connected with us via social media platforms. We are at Chris Africa on IG, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. And after this session, we are going to send a feedback form via mail. We would like to get your thoughts on how we can improve our subsequent sessions. We would like to hear your feedback. We would like to hear what you're taking away from today's session. So please do well to fill the feedback form so that we can get your thoughts. Would also just like to encourage you to partner with us and become a volunteer so you can support our initiatives and, you know, empower others while doing that. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again, Madam Atinuke. Thank you to
Thank you for having me.
Africa. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks. Bye.